do I need the same number of cows for that Windows server as I do Exchange cows?
No. No, you do not.
See, that's the answer I thought too. I got two different answers from Microsoft. One Microsoft licensing expert said, you do. If you got 25 Exchange users, then you got to have 25 client access licenses for that Windows server. I said, are you sure about that? That doesn't make sense to me. Yes, I'm certified on this. I know what I'm talking about. And I said, I just think that's a bunch of baloney. But
well, the Microsoft licensing model has always been crazy and convoluted, especially when you get into the server market. It's, I mean, I wouldn't personally get the cows if I was doing the project, and but if it's a Microsoft saying, then I think that's crazy because people aren't actually accessing the server for anything. Your email's being pushed and sent, but you're not logging onto the server for anything. So I don't see why you would need client access licenses. But then again, this is Microsoft we're talking about.
Yeah, right. Well, that's true. That is Microsoft we're talking about. But you have a group of consultants out there who are what's called Microsoft Small Business Specialists. That's the certification they chose. And is actually a pretty basic, it's not that difficult to get that.
No, I was about to say, I got it in about 10 minutes, and I never studied for it.
Okay. It's pretty basic.
Yeah, it's a sales thing. That's all. Most of Microsoft certifications, all they are sales things. And that the other kind of world that a lot of people don't see about Microsoft is it's the education side, getting people certified, MCSEs, MCPs, and now as every time they grow a certification, you see these new certification tests come out that you have to pay Microsoft. Back when I was taking my test, it was $125 per test.
Right.
And I think I needed to pass 10 or 12 to be an MCSE. So you see, that's every time they make a new certification, you have to pay them to take the test to become certified. So that's another way they make some money off of you.
What I was going to say was that when we got into the subject of small business server, that was the product that Microsoft, at least a year or two ago, that's what they were pitching to your small business specialist guys to go out there and run and sell small business server.
Yep. You
could build a practice around small business server. And well, maybe some could. I think that the future of small business server is going to be basically a Active Directory domain controller with a whole bunch of licenses for cloud-based services. The Microsoft Online, you're going to get your Exchange Online, you're going to get a hosted SharePoint, live meeting, which I got to tell you, that absolutely sucks. Live meetings are the worst, the worst.
It is.
But they're going to give it to you. It's part of the deal. Office Communicator, which I've never used. Have you?
No, it's a collaboration tool. It probably stinks. I mean, I played with it a little bit. I don't really have that much experience with it, but I don't know many that do use it. So
I don't know anybody that uses it. But I think that's the future of small business server, rather than this big monolithic server with all these services installed. It's basically just going to be for the Active Directory portion of it, and maybe localized data storage and backup type stuff. But the real meat and potatoes of it's going to be cloud based, and they're just going to move it to ultimately a virtual small business server.
Well, yeah, and I was about to say, if I was a consultant looking at a small business who would require a small business server, I would really take that into consideration. I mean, there's a couple things you need to look at here. A, if you're going to deploy a small business server, you better have the resources to support it.
Right.
So either you have an on-site IT staff to deal with it, or you have a contractor or a consultant to come and deal with it. But as a consultant, you don't want to put those kinds of risks into your environment. And exchange is a risk. Exchanges are notorious for needing constant maintenance,
right,
and being babysat. SharePoint is kind of the same thing. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, no problem.
You throw the phone out of the room.
That's okay. Bravo. Bravo.
Live show. But no, you don't want to put those kinds of things into an environment where you're not going to have the resources to support them.
Yeah.
And as an administrator, I would say, hey, let's move that out and make it someone else's responsibility. As long as it works, I don't care. So if we can get a SharePoint and an Exchange hosted at a reasonable price, those are hours you don't have to spend maintaining and maintaining, patching. So as long as you pick a good host and the service is good, then you're coming out ahead. And you're right. Then all you have to do on site is maintain an Active Directory and maintain whatever other services that server is providing, whether it be a file server, a SQL database for an application, or something along those lines. That's the only thing you have to do there on site, and that's the only thing you're responsible for now. The rest of it, as much as you can ship off site and make someone else's problem, the better you are.
And I agree with you. And then the next question becomes, because of the cloud and these cloud services, are the Microsoft solutions necessarily better than, say, the Google solutions or Zoho? I don't know if you're familiar that much with Zoho. I think you are a little bit. We looked at some stuff in Zoho.
I mean, the Google Apps offering is really awesome. I mean, let's look at you get to host all of your documents online. You can create them online on the fly. You can post those documents into a website, either your own website or a Google site, which is a lot like SharePoint. It's not as pretty, and it's not as refined, I don't think, as a Microsoft offering would be, but it works. I mean, it works. The email works, the docs work, the calendar works. It all integrates very well into your Outlook on your desktop, or Thunderbird, or whatever else you use. And it's a very smart solution that a lot more people are going with these days. On the other side, a lot of managed service providers are now offering what they call software as a service, whereas they're hosting these applications online, in a hosted environment, and then selling access rights to people to use them. And that's kind of the next wave, I think, of the future, is software as a service, and that's kind of what Google is doing, except they're doing it for free. So.
Well, they actually, on the Google Apps side, there is actually a paid version.
There is. But that
Google Apps
like
Premier
and all that other good stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because Microsoft is hard at work on a cloud-based version of Office. Okay. Now, what's interesting, and the way I understood it, that in order to use the cloud-based version, you had to have a licensed desktop version of Office. So I'm kind of scratching my head going, not seeing the value there.
No, I think what they're saying is you have to have a license to use it. Not necessarily a desktop license, but you still have to have a license to use the online version. And what they're talking about is, and you see this a lot, they started doing it in Office 2007, where they started eliminating what you could do on a terminal server. What a lot of people were doing was they were buying a copy of Office, legitimate copy, loading it up on a terminal server, and then letting 50 people access it and use it. And then Microsoft said, no, we're not going to let you do that in 2007. So in 2007, they built some things in 2000. There's still ways around it. The only time you're going to get caught doing something like that is if you get audited, which really doesn't happen a lot to a lot of people.